and Mark and Meyerson modify of the Johnson and Strom classifications of adult acquired flatfoot. So Mark and Meyerson classification is most commonly followed now, where stage 1 is patient will have only medial side pain and swelling. There won't be any deformity. X-ray will be normal, and patient will demonstrate weakness on the repetition, that heel test. There could be a Teenon Synovitis. It's called Teenon Synovitis stage. When it progresses to stage 2, there will be a patient will have a moderate pain. Along with that swelling, they can have a heel rise test, and also they have an elongation tendon with longitudinal tears. When stage 2A, that means there is a talonavicular coverage is less than 30%. If the talonavicular coverage is lost to more than 30%, it's called stage 2B. When you go to the stage 3, the patient will have severe pain, fixed deformity, that means arthritis is established there. And type 4, there will be a lateral tilt, that means apart from your subtalar, talonavicular, calcaneal joint, there could be a possibility of arthritis in ankle joint also. In that, again, 4A and 4B. 4A is that ankle valgus without severe arthritis. 4B is ankle valgus with or without stiffness. So most of the cases can be treated conservatively by doing a weight reduction, activity modification, immobilization, and NSAIDs, and also footwear with the medial arch support. In the stage 1, if they don't get any improvement, that is a Teenon Synovitis stage, patient doesn't have any improvement after 3 to 6 months of all the conservative management, then we can do a Teenon Synovectomy, where you do open the tibialis posterior tendon, remove and all the degenerated portion of that tibialis posterior, and we can do a repair with some Vicryl or some other materials. So this patient, they do well without any existing deformities. They are stage 1 tenovitis, where you can do a debridement and just repair alone. What happens in this case is a 35 years old male patient presenting with the pain in the left ankle for 1 year, increased for 5 months, and difficulty in bearing weight. And you can see this patient from behind. Apart from the pain, you see that heel is in valgus on the right side compared to the left side, the more valgus deformity, and movements are normal in this case. And you see that X-ray, these patients had a medial displacement of the talus, beginning of the head of the talus, and narrowing of the TC joint, and CN bars of C sign, flattening of the arch, and that's how it looks in the X-ray. So in a normal alignment, the talus usually lies in the top of the hindfoot bone, and sinus tarsi normally visible, but in the flat foot you will not see that. Abnormal alignment, talus abnormally placed, collapse of the sinus tarsi, and partial talotarsal joint dislocation can see. You can see this sinus tarsi here. You can see there's a big gap here. You are able to see the sinus tarsi very well, and you see here there is overlap. That means there is a collapse of the arch. At the same time, the lateral X-ray shows the Meary angle usually is 0. Here it will be deviated. So that between the talus and the first metatarsal angle is called Meary's angle. An angle greater than 4 degree convex downwards is considered as a flat foot, and 15 to 13 degrees moderate flat foot, and greater than 30 degrees is called severe flat foot. You can see this. This is the Meary's angle from the first metatarsal to the talus. This will normally would be 0. Anything more than 4 degrees is called mild. More than 15 to 30, moderate flat foot. More than 30 degree, then this is called severe flat foot. And weight bearing lateral X-ray shows the calcaneal pitch. What do you mean by calcaneal pitch? That is distance between the floor and your arch of your foot. So the calcaneal pitch, again, that indicates this patient has got a fallen foot or not. So in the you can see the here calcaneal pitch less than 17 degree or 18 degree indicates flat foot. Normally at least it should be around 20 degrees. Anything less than that, then we can call it's a flat foot. So in pes planus, the head of the talus, as already told, the talus will be displaced medially and distal from the navicular bone, and spring ligament, that's called plantar calcaneonavicular ligament, and the tendon of the tibialis posterior muscles are stretched out. That's why they fail and lateral. That is the talonavicular coverage angle. Yes, already told about this classification. So according to the stage, we make the treatment, and MRI is we need to really do, but in stage 1 really it's helpful because it will show the intactness of the posterior tibialis tendon. It will not show the function, but it will show there is a Teenon Synovitis alone or along with the tear or not. In other cases, in insufficient cases, MRI may not require. Sometimes there will be, other than that, just Teenon Synovitis, what I showed here, you can see the tibialis posterior is completely degenerated. So in these cases, we had to do a tendon transfer because the tibialis posterior, even if you do a repair, it will not work. So we have to remove all the diseased tibialis posterior tendon. We can do the digitorum longus FDL transfer. We can say FDL is just goes plantar and distal to the tibialis posterior tendon. It's easy to harvest, and that will function as a tibialis posterior in the future. So remove all the degenerated tibialis posterior tendon, and FDL tendon can be prepared, and we can make a hole in the navicular bone, and it can be rerouted to the talus, and we can fix it from plantar to dorsal side. You can see that is the talus bone, and it was still from plantar to dorsal side. What we do that we reroute the FDL through the plantar to dorsal side, and we fix with the interference screw so that the FDL can be fixed to the tibialis posterior. We can see that after making a guide wire, we are doing with the reamer, then it is fixed with the interference screw like this, and that is the FDL tendon is going to act as a tibialis posterior tendon. We can see here sometimes if the remaining tendon also can be repaired or it can be excised. This is another patient, 49 years old female. You can present it with the left foot pain since 1.5 years, progressive pain, insidious onset, no injury, pain not relieved with all the conservative management. And we can see this patient had a bilateral planovalgus foot with medial arch collapse, tenderness below the medial malleoli. This patient had a heel valgus. Even though ankle and septalar movements are pain-free and equal on both the sides, here tibialis posterior power is only 3/5. Again, it is not working well. You can see the lateral view. This is a collapse of the arch. Again, this is a flexible deformity. And you can see these patients had less than 30% of talonavicular coverage with the accessory navicular. So sometimes these patients can have accessory navicular too. As already told, the difference between the type 2A and type 2B here, you can see that talonavicular coverage is lost more than 30% here. This is less than 30%. This is type 2A, this is type 2B. So whenever there is a type 2A, only less than 30% of talonavicular coverage with the heel valgus deformity, that is type 2A, where we can do a calcaneal medial displacement osteotomy, and also we can do a FDL tendon transfer. So in this case, we can see that we tendon FDL transfer like that previous case, and also we had to do the medial displacement calcaneal osteotomy. You can see there is an incision on the lateral side. What do you do that osteotomy? You push that fragment on the medial side, and we can get at least 9 to 10 mm of displacement so that the heel valgus is corrected, so that the weight which is going on the medial side can be shifted to the center. So that is the idea of doing the calcaneal displacement osteotomy. So anything with the type 2A, type 2B, most of the time these patients require osteotomy and fixed with 2 screws percutaneously under X-ray control like this. And what you do that finally with 2 short threaded 6.5 or 7 mm screws, and that will fix that calcaneal osteotomy. So that is how the 6 months follow-up. You can see that by doing this calcaneal osteotomy, it can recreate the arch like this. So anywhere there is a deformity in type 2A, B, only doing tibialis posterior debridement or a tendon transfer will not suffice. We may need to add a calcaneal osteotomy if there is a heel valgus. Whenever you go to type 2B, that is talonavicular coverage is lost more than 30%, then these patients will have a 4-foot abduction also. So these patients require lateral column lengthening if it requires in type 2B. So this patient only a calcaneal osteotomy with the tendon transfer. You can see that the heel valgus is corrected. Now it is straight line with your tibia. So calcaneal medial displacement osteotomy with FDL transfer was done this.